What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Game Explained discussion for E3 2019. We had a Microsoft discussion, and now we're here to talk about Square Enix, specifically Final Fantasy VII Remake, because really, what else can you talk about? So,
oh man,
fellas,
it felt like Square Enix dunked on the collective of the whole internet with that, because I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, we're not really sure. Maybe they're probably going to disappoint." In my mind, they didn't disappoint at all.
No.
They blew away my expectations and then some. I am so hyped for this, you guys.
They over-delivered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I've been so hesitant about this game because the original was just such a masterpiece,
Right.
and I thought that can't translate to a realistic visual style. But they've done it. Like they've given it its own flavor too. This doesn't replace the original. This is basically a brand new game. And it looks so big. This is just Midgar.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
unbelievable, the scale of this. How they took seemingly minor moments in the game and blew them up into these massive spectacles. I was just blown away. I'm completely with you, Ash. I wait.
yeah, of course, big thing. We got Tifa. We
Oh,
finally-
yes,
that is
finally,
a
best
good,
girl.
That is a super good design. Like,
Absolutely.
not exactly the same, but good enough that you can I can't see anybody complaining about that, and she had so many good moments in that trailer.
Someone's
There will be
complaining
people
about it.
complaining about
Right,
that.
right,
Trust
right.
me.
Someone.
This is
There will
the
be
internet.
yes.
No, we also that design was like, yes, they nailed it because we were so hesitant about what
I think the
Tifa's
same
gonna look
reason.
like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I think the same reason we like her design is the same reason some other people are going to complain, because she
yeah.
looks more realistically proportioned while still drawing from her OG design, which I really like. Like, they could have just thrown in the Advent Children design and called it a day, which I was kind of afraid they might even try to do something like that, but I like that they went right back to her old design, but she doesn't look as over the top as she did in, obviously, the PS1.
And like even the voice actors, the cast is entirely new. I was expecting them
Right.
to pull the Avent Children cast back again, but they do a great job though. This new cast.
I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't tell that wasn't Steve Burton for the
I
longest
couldn't,
time.
it sounded like him.
It's like, wow, Cloud gets to emote a lot more, and it's a completely different guy.
Right, when they revealed Tifa, I knew immediately her voice was not the same.
Not,
No, but-
not Rachel
yeah.
Laycock.
No.
Still
but-
good.
Yeah, it still sounds
Yeah.
really good. And Tifa's combat sequences.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
good.
kidding.
Honestly, the combat sequences in general, I think we were all going expecting a Kingdom Hearts-esque action type thing, and
Yeah.
it's half that to a degree, but then you got these ATB charges that you fill, and you could stop the action and then select commands from a menu.
Right. I
It's-
remember
Yeah.
doing an analysis, and I was like, I saw those two bars, and I'm like, is that like our new limit break system?
Right.
And it's not. It's just different things that you can do. Each character is unique, and I like how they showed, like, yeah, Cloud can't reach this, so you got to use Barret in order to take this stuff out while the AI uses other stuff. It's like the way everything pauses and you can rotate everything.
Oh,
it's just like, what a great way to actually get turn-based combat kind of in there.
It's super intense too. Like we watched this conference together, and Andre's next to us, and he's like, "Guys, is this the first boss?"
Yeah.
The first
Oh
boss is
my
explosive,
Yeah.
right?
And that's the thing. It's like, what's the scope here? Because we now know that this is going to primarily focus on Midgar.
Right.
But in the original, of course, that's like the first 6-ish hours of the game.
Sure.
But apparently this is going to be the main focus of this installment. So what are they adding? Like, what are they... Like, they have to add so much to this to make it the focal point of an entire part.
We got like a small tease of new stuff when
Right.
When Aerith is introduced and that shadow cloud surrounds her. That's
Right.
new.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sephiroth as well in the
Right.
Avengers sort of scene. That's
Right.
new too.
And they have this whole thing with Heidegger and President
Right,
Shinra. A whole brand new sequence where you rescue Jesse while you're riding on the motorcycle. They're getting the motorcycle in there way sooner.
Absolutely.
Which I'm all cool for. Actually got to look at the interior of the Shinra building where you can actually see the OG
that's
motorcycle.
so good.
Yeah,
Oh, so
it's
good.
so good. And,
Yeah.
and more to your point, Ash, I mean, to answer just what are they adding, clearly it's tons.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 entire Blu-ray discs for part 1 in Midgar.
Right.
That's a ton of data. That's 100 gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they possibly putting on
Well,
there?
that's the other thing. People were talking about how this is only going to be 2 parts. That was the rumor. I don't think it's going to be 2 parts.
I think it's going to be more than that. Yeah.
7 parts.
7
Yeah,
parts,
7
Seven parts for
exactly.
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, what's it going to be? Final Fantasy VII Midgar and the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Like, it just
Yeah.
doesn't seem likely.
I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with this, and I'm definitely getting the vibe that they're calling it a reimagining, and I can absolutely see
Oh,
that
you can
here.
see it now.
It is very much a reimagining of you got the main. Looks like we're going to have the main big story beats, but the stuff between point A and point B might look very different.
And I was worried about that because, again, you pointed out the Aerith Shadow sequence that I saw at the Final Fantasy VII concert last
Right.
night. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I've liked kind of what they've done so far. That part makes me a little nervous, but everything else that we're seeing, how they're expanding upon these things, I'm really enjoying, like, seeing the bar, seeing the interaction with Tifa, that the fact when they get caught on the train when they have to jump off for the second bombing mission, and Tifa tosses a robot out. Like, there is so many really smart ways they're expanding upon these events.
And there's a lot more to see. There's still a lot more to see. Like, the cross-dressing scene was nowhere to be seen.
Exactly.
But we got the monster.
We barely saw the slums, though, which is something I thought they might dive into.
Right, we haven't. I mean, there really is still a lot for us to see, and another thing I loved was the banter between Cloud and Barrett during the boss fight.
Yeah,
it felt so natural, and it felt like coming home, but to a completely revamped, renovated home.
Other nice thing, the fact that Cloud was joking with Barrett, like giving him a little bit of hell. The fact that he's not just dour the entire. Exactly.
And they probably swear this time. Like in the PlayStation 1 version, they kind of like allude to swearing.
That kind of
like proper swears.
Yeah.
Well, there was one proper swear in the PlayStation 1 version for Barrett.
Right. I think.
But it's definitely a lot more, and it's a realistic use of swearing. It's not like it's shoehorned in there. It's not like it's just there to, up the game's rating on the ESRB scale.
Right.
One of my favorite things though was when Cloud does his limit break against what's the new name of the boss?
The Scorpion Sentinel.
Right, the Scorpion Sentinel, and he says time to die right before he does his limit break on it. It just gave me chills, like to see Cloud actually have some emotion.
That whole fight,
so
just look.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's the first boss.
No, I can't overstate how excited I am for this.
Right,
like March needs to be tomorrow,
and we got a little taste of that second boss before Cloud falls down after the second reactor.
Right.
So all the bosses we know are going to be here. So we've seen 3 bosses in this game. And just the way they're battling the sewer creature, I forget his name off the top of my head. Apsas, I think his name is, or something like that.
Right.
But anyway, seeing him, like Cloud, hold off on him and Tifa going back to back in the sewers.
Good. Yeah, that whole back to back. That was so good. Oh, man. I'm just glad. I'm so happy they finally showed off Tifa. It's no secret. I can't stand Aerith. She annoys me. I can't stand her. So I'm so glad we finally get to see Best Girl now.
She is good and pure, and you're a monster.
Nice. Well, is it safe to say we're all feeling an avalanche of hype?
Man,
I had to go there.
March 3rd is going to be great. I'm so looking forward to that. They sold so many people, I think, on this trailer.
Definitely.
They knew they had something good here, and they really did the trick. However, $330 for that first class edition of the game.
That's
oh boy.
I don't need a figure of Cloud on his motorcycle that badly. Like I really don't. Like if it was a figure of Cloud and Tifa standing back to back, that would be even better. They might have my $330, but as it stands, I could probably do without the first class edition.
Got different summons as well. So which is actually interesting. They're adding summons to that because you can't summon in Midgar.
Right.
You don't get any summon material until afterwards.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the interesting thing is, these summons are DLC. We don't know that they won't continue to add summons. But that said, I liked what I saw so much, I was already starting to consider spending that $330.
Get yourself a new console.
Yeah.
Speaking of console, this is one game that I know I'm going to be happy to have a PS4 Pro for.
Oh yeah, I got the PS4 Pro. I got the 4K. I am gonna have the headset on just because we got to hear the battle music. Oh, so good. It was so good.
This trailer looks so amazing. It had me questioning if I really am going to need a PS5 next year. I mean, it looked like something that if you told me this was a next-gen game, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
I'd believe you without a second's hesitation.
Yeah, I guess the thing is that this is part 1. So I guess we've got to assume later down the line, the next parts will probably be on PS5.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it took this long. We've only ever seen Midgar throughout the entirety of them showing this project off. How long is it going to take for them to get part 2? And I'm going to guess it ends at like Nibelheim.
Yeah, maybe.
Or somewhere around.
You don't think it'll go all the way to the end of disc 1 of the original?
That's quite a lot of the game, though.
There's a lot. There's a good chunk
lot.
of the game.
Yeah,
there's a lot that you get into. You get Barrett's backstory. You get Red's backstory. You get the introduction of Kate Sith.
True. And Nibelheim is like a major plot point in the middle of disc 1 where you get there and all the stuff happens. So that's true.
Yeah. We'll see, but I mean, we'll get to the beginning of our chocobo raising maybe or something like that. Or,
that can be its own game.
Oh god! I'm just salivating at the thought of seeing the gold saucer.
Oh yes, that's gonna look so great.
So
I can't. Yeah,
it's
I just so
what
happy.
a way to start. Like it was like Square Enix was on fire, and unfortunately, as the further they went on, like it was still really good, but it did start to dip as time went
a
on.
little
just
bit.
a bit.
At one
Yeah.
moment, it was trailer after trailer. The pacing was fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and then they spent far too long on games that weren't all that interesting.
Yeah.
There was one
Yeah.
game by People Can Fly. What's the name of that game?
Outriders.
Outriders, was it?
Outriders,
Yeah.
It looked like they barely started progress in that game,
Yeah.
and they showed it like 4 different times, and
Yeah.
it just didn't grasp my attention.
That was my bathroom break.
Yeah,
And then they had some filler too. Like they devoted time to stuff that's already like we know about or is out, like Octopath Traveler PC or like Life is Strange 2. Like
Yeah.
I mean, great games, but we know about them. Like this is E3. Let's not.
Let's get more out
yeah.
there. That said, we finally got some news on Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered. That's coming winter, I believe. They
yeah.
said.
That's not really much of a difference though. So we knew it was coming
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
And it's-
Well,
I
the
guess-
big difference
yeah.
is now we know it's on mobile as well.
That was it was like a
Yeah.
mobile announcement trailer, I guess.
I guess that's why it didn't look the best.
Yeah.
But there was a bigger announcement though, in the way of Final Fantasy VIII.
Remastered.
Yes, finally.
They finally found a way to remaster that thing. I don't know how.
I'm so
but
happy. Yeah, like
So
for
good.
forever, as we all know, it's only been Final Fantasy 7 and 9. Whenever they
Yeah.
re-release the PlayStation games, it's always 7 and 9. And finally, 8 is back. And I don't know about you guys. I know 8 has its detractors. It's very contentious. I actually have a soft spot for 8.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the things they did for the 7 and 9 to make things play better would help 8 a lot.
I really hope they need like triple speed or double. You know, they really need some speed up options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah.
I would play it again. That's the thing. I'm
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
biggest Final Fantasy VIII fan. I played it back when it came out on the PlayStation 1, and coming off of 7, I was incredibly excited for this game, and it didn't live up to my expectations, but that doesn't make it a bad game.
No.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And what a good year for Final Fantasy on the Switch, because it's hard
Yeah.
to, it's easy to forget that we just
Yeah.
got 7, 9, 12, 10, 10-2,
Yeah.
all those. And
Right.
now we're getting 8.
And technically
And Crystal
15.
Chronicles.
Crystal
Yeah,
Chronicles,
technically
10.
15.
Technically 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
geez, like they went all out. And actually, speaking of Square just supporting the Switch, Last Remnant Remastered Shadow Drop. Now, it's already out on other systems, but still just
I think
popping
it's
on there.
just PS4 that is out on at the
Just
moment.
PS4, I
Right,
think.
Right,
Yeah.
it was on 360, PS3, and PC last generation.
I never played it, so
It's okay. Like
Yeah.
shadow dropping it's a good move though. It's exciting because otherwise I don't think I'd have any excitement for this
Like,
game.
you can't hype up the Last Remnant. Like it's good they just dropped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is a shame though because after FF7, like you said, it kind of got a little iffy and
Speaking of the Switch though, there were 2 games that got me really excited.
okay.
2 Dragon Quest games.
Yes.
Builders 2 and
yes.
11S.
Builders 2's narrator just needed to narrate the whole thing because
Yeah.
He was
he
all
was
in,
excited.
trying to
Yeah.
get discovered.
Yeah, the entire time it's like Dragon Quest Builders, and then
Yeah.
the next trailer was like, "This is a shooting game," and it was just so the tone was so boring.
What
So-
a difference! Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like we're gonna shoot people. Yeah, there's +5 and all that. Sure, but no, it's like look at all the things you can build. Look at all the
Yeah.
allies you can get.
Yeah.
Look at the massive things you can do.
Right.
And it's yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original Dragon Quest Builders was such a surprise to me because it was so much fun in
Yeah.
a genre that I just don't care about, and I am so excited
Right.
for Builders 2.
I've tried Minecraft multiple times. It's not for me. Builders 1, though, has such great direction. It's basically an RPG with building mechanics. And Builders 2, the scope of it looks absolutely massive.
Right.
You can fly around, you can go underwater, and you can play online too, which is going
Right.
to be massive. It's been out in Japan for a while now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, about 6 months or so.
yeah, but it just looks great though. And also 11S.
Man,
Holy crap! Does
that
that, look
game-
good on the
Yeah,
Switch?
and also I was going to buy when it was originally announced for 3DS. I was going to buy the 3DS version just for that 2D mode.
right.
Right.
Never got localized, but the Switch version brings it back, and it looks fantastic.
Yes.
It looks so like and the regular like the 3D mode like that looks way better than any Switch version of Dragon
Way
Quest
better
11
than it should.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
looks
I don't know
so
what magic
good.
they're pulling for this because
Yeah.
it is just working so well. Having the orchestrated soundtrack in there
Yeah,
now.
that's a big thing.
That's a
the,
huge
the
thing.
swapping mechanics so you can have the old school graphics. And you know, this game was already amazing and they're adding more content to it. Like this is the definitive version. And somehow they're putting it on the Switch, not on the PS4,
Yeah,
right.
the Switch.
Yeah, like prior to today's trailer, I was like fighting with myself, like, do I want to go back and play Dragon Quest XI on PS4 because I haven't played it yet, or wait for the Switch version? You know, the PS4 version is going to look better still, but
Yeah.
that remastered soundtrack or the orchestrated soundtrack and the 2D mode, they got me on Switch.
Yeah.
I gotta
that-
wait.
that-
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I started a little bit into Dragon Quest XI. I wanted to keep playing, but
Yeah.
I gotta wait now. I'm gonna get this version.
Right. And also, a cool thing about Builders 2 is it takes place in the world of Dragon Quest 2, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that's
after
neat.
the
Yeah,
events.
Okay.
the way they did it was like the original Builders was like what would have happened if you took the bad ending
Right.
in the original Dragon Quest. This sort
Right.
of builds off that while also having it take place after the ending of Dragon Quest 2.
Oh, that's neat.
Where
Okay.
the bad guy, the followers of the bad guys, like trying to like bring him back and get rid of all Builders because he was about destruction. So they're trying to get rid of
Okay.
That's
Builders.
pretty cool.
It's good
Yeah.
context.
It's great ways of how they're like integrating this into the canon
Yeah.
of those games.
Well, and I remember our previews of it at PAX, like we saw how good the writing is. So like,
oh,
I'm
the
sure-
writing in Dragon Quest is always so good.
Yeah,
Spot
yeah.
on.
So
There's some fun things. Like the
Yeah.
tutorials, the monster's like, ha, we have you this. Oh, crap, we need your help. All right, we're going to let you do some things, and you can, all right, you can build this. All right, we'll show you how to build this. Okay, now you can do that. And it's like, it's charming. It's so charming. And I think maybe some people were annoyed by that announcer for Builders
Maybe.
too, if you're not familiar with it. But Dragon Quest always has so much charm.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope we get like more Dragon Quest games on the Switch.
I think we will.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
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 It seems we will.
Yeah.
But one game that kind of baffled me a little bit, I think you guys are probably more excited than I am, is a trailer they showed for Kingdom Hearts 3
I was about to say
Remake.
that.
Yeah.
And as someone who's not
Man.
really... I've not played much Kingdom Hearts 3.
Sure.
And watching this trailer, I just thought, what on earth am I watching here?
It felt like they didn't want to show it so much as they felt like they were obligated to.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
there wasn't even any voice acting in there. Like
And voice
it doesn't
acting,
feel
a
like
little
it's
bit of
ready to be
gameplay.
shown. And like
Yeah.
even as a fan, like Derek and I are hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans. That didn't get me like, oh man, these story scenes, like there was no context for really.
I mean, there's some
It was-
cool things that, like the Luxord Zigbar thing at the end.
Yeah.
That could be cool. I don't care about young Xehanort. that
Yeah,
much.
I mean, and playing as Aqua and Roxas, that's cool. But I'm just like,
sort of expanding upon that
Yeah.
final fight, which good.
that's cool, but it's not like what I'm really there for necessarily.
and it's definitely not building off of the secret movie, which
That's the thing. And I'm probably like biased because, and of course, no spoilers here. The DLC does not seem to be focusing on the one part from the ending that I really want it to.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm just like, I mean, of course I'll be there. Of course I'll play it as soon as I can, day one.
Of course,
but-
they're going to have more teases for
Yeah.
whatever comes next.
But as it stands now, that did nothing to hype me at all.
oddly enough, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
adore the hell out of Kingdom Hearts
Totally,
3.
yeah.
But that I need to see more because it didn't give me any context of like, okay, we're getting some new story beats, we're getting some new playable characters, but what is that? Like, how is that going to be integrated? Into
Exactly.
it? Do I have to replay it, or is it just like you go here now and you get these sequences? I
Yeah,
don't know.
and I don't know, like not that you can compare the two 1-to-1, but Final Fantasy 15 had kind of a checkered history with DLC. So you know, I like to think of Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 as kind of a pair because they were the two major things, tentpole releases we've been waiting for.
Sure.
And FF15's DLC was kind of up and down.
Yeah.
So not that, again, you can't compare the two directly, but I'm a little bit wait and see on this DLC so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree the Cup Noodles DLC was a straight 10 out of 10.
Well, that is, that is for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on. Gold
Yeah.
standard.
That's
Yeah.
true. One of the kind of more random things we saw that I thought ended up being pretty cool is they did a whole commercial for Square Enix Music being on streaming services,
Right.
which they didn't need to do that at all.
No.
But I respect it that they gave like 2 minutes of airtime to, hey, every Final Fantasy soundtrack is on Apple Music, Spotify. We already knew that, but it's kind of cool that they did like a little commercial for it.
It was cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
I thought it was a very cute commercial. Why was it in the middle of E3?
Why
Yeah,
is it at
okay.
E3?
Didn't- yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into the big game, are there any other smaller games you guys want to talk about?
Does anybody care about the romancing Saga stuff? I
Not
know there's a
really.
lot of fans of
Yeah.
Saga out there, but I've never
I'm not
really.
one of them.
I'm not
got
either.
into it.
I played Saga Frontier back in the PS1, and it did nothing for me at all. It's just a little too out there for me, gameplay mechanics wise. So Saga, not my thing so much, but I am really glad for.
I mean, it's the
the
first
Saga
time it's in
fans.
this states.
Yeah,
it's,
so really
that's
happy
good
for the
stuff.
fans. I will say there's one thing we didn't see. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's
We're-
still hope for tomorrow.
we're still hoping for
We're still
more.
hoping.
And of course, we're talking about the
The trademark for collection of mana.
Right.
We were really
Yeah.
hoping
Yeah.
to see something, and
Yeah,
well,
that
the thing
trademark.
is
yeah.
the collection in Japan was Switch exclusive. So maybe it still is, and maybe it's going to be in the direct.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Don't lose hope. Don't
Please.
lose hope.
That's what I'm hoping for, because that trademark just made me so hopeful, and I just really, really hope. So.
I want it so bad.
Yeah.
But
I think we're getting it. I firmly believe that Nintendo would want something like that in their direct. Their relationship with Square Enix seems really important over the past few years, especially with them publishing so many Dragon Quest games. I feel like they have the pull with Square to say, look, we want to announce this.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, as you said, John, it was a Switch exclusive in Japan, so it does make more sense for them to save that for the direct, if they're doing it. So here's hoping.
Of course, the big game, the last big game. This is a polarizing one.
Yeah.
We're all really down on it. But I went on Twitter.
Lot of people,
Some people love it. Other people were like, eh. And that game is, of course, Marvel Avengers. And they didn't actually show that much of the actual gameplay,
That's
really.
the thing.
I feel like we got a sense of the gameplay, but it was so stylized it was hard to tell.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were some small moments in there, like Hulk shaking out a guy and then just kick him aside. That's some fun moments.
They spent a lot of time trying to sell us on the characters, and that's the last thing you have to do because everyone in the world is sold
Exactly.
on these
That's why
characters.
we
you
do
love
these
these characters.
games.
Yeah. Although you guys are saying, and I agree, that like playing as Black Widow is going to suck because like you got I mean, I love Black Widow. She's super cool, but you want to play as Thor or Captain America, people with these super awesome superpowers, and
Vision would be great. Like,
Vision
fly
would be
around.
cool. Yeah. And I'm sorry to all the Black Widow fans out there. I like her in the MCU. She's a cool character, but she's not the one I want to play as. I want all these superheroes.
Ace Hawkeye's not there though. But it would be jarring though, like to go as like flying around as Iron Man, shooting everyone to just go like pew pew pew.
I mean,
exactly.
I don't
pretty
think
accurate.
I fully understand like it's 4-player, potentially online multiplayer as well.
The messaging wasn't good. It's like they're like, hey, Avengers, you love Iron Man, you love Thor, you love Captain America.
Here's all the voice actors.
And but like they didn't really define the game itself very well,
Right.
Yeah.
It felt like, for one, obvious elephant in the room. These aren't the Avengers. These are not my Avengers.
Yeah.
Hashtag not my
The
Avengers.
character designs are obviously trying to pull from the MCU without actually taking the likenesses. It's weird.
It's weird.
Banner is very much Mark Ruffalo in his design, I feel.
Yeah.
He's probably the one I like most.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony Stark's the odd one.
I don't like Tony. I don't.
Lumberjack Tony is not my Tony.
I'm not. I guess I said that on Twitter, and I got quite a few responses from like Marvel fans saying, "Well, that's what he looks like in the comics." I'm like, okay, I accept
fair
that,
enough.
but you know what? Robert Downey Jr. is my Iron Man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
And I know they're trying to do their own thing, and you can kind of get it. Like it's weird hearing Nolan North voice Tony.
Like, when we saw the cast, I thought Nolan North could do a good Tony, and then they showed a scene with Banner and Tony talking, and I thought that's just Nolan North.
And Troy
I didn't like
Baker
it.
was doing fine as Banner.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, Nolan North is supremely talented, but I just don't know if that was a case of just miscasting. It just didn't do it for me.
Right.
Now that is one scene.
Now
to be
that
fair.
granted,
It
a
is.
lot of people were not sure about Yuri Lowenthal as Spider-Man when they first showed off.
Oh, true.
Spider-Man.
True.
Like, a lot of people were like, I don't know about this.
Speaking of Spider-Man, though, there was a point where they said there's going to be PlayStation exclusive content in the future, which I assume is going to be Insomniac Spider-Man. But people were cheering, and they didn't say a thing. They didn't say what it would be.
Yeah.
They just said there'll be exclusive content. Like, whoa!
Yeah.
Also, good bullet points. We're not going to nickel and dime you. Thanks.
Yeah, but it's kind of a sad statement about the state of gaming in 2019 that somebody can come out on stage and say, we're not going to rip you off hard, and everyone claps. Like it's unexpected that'll happen.
That's a weird thing about gaming conferences in general, though. Like, people clap for things at gaming conferences. You wouldn't see that at other kinds of... Like, they clap for everything.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen Apple conferences.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Point taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did see people clap for an Xbox Elite controller yesterday, like a standing ovation for a controller.
Right. Yeah, that's true. One thing I will say, just kind of random, one of the funniest parts of the presentation for me was that we were all surprised by Dying Light 2 having like Mirror's Edge parkour like
Yeah, we're like, what the heck's this?
And I tweeted about that, and like all these Dying Light fans, it's been there since the first game, guys. And I'm like, we didn't know Dying Light's not our thing.
They never showed that. It was always the zombie bits. They didn't show the
had
parkour
no idea.
stuff.
I liked it.
That was cool. It makes you want to go play the first one, actually.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Mirror's Edge was, So,
Mirror's
who
Edge
knew?
with combat, sure.
Yeah. But on the Avengers, I think it has potential to be good.
Yes.
I don't want to be too down on it.
Crystal
but
Dynamics is a very solid team.
I just think they didn't show enough to demonstrate why the game's special.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a better sense on the E3 show floor.
Maybe.
It is here.
Yeah,
So-
and it is still a year out, so they have a lot of time to polish it up, to market it well, message it well.
Yeah.
But I don't think this was the
Right.
best debut.
It was not a good first showing for this game. I came away from it not knowing what it is, aside from an Avengers game, which I knew going in.
Right.
So I do want to see some actual gameplay, and more than just in-engine cutscenes, basically.
Right.
And the
Right.
release date isn't exciting. They said, was it May 2020?
May 2020.
Yeah.
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 And people applauding. That's not really...
I mean, I guess we get another Avengers thing in May, so there you go.
yeah, I
after
suppose so.
This,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there's a tease for Ant-Man at the end, or some sort of shrinking technology.
Well, it has to be
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
It's gotta be,
it might,
right? Yeah.
It's either Hank Pym or Scott Lang.
Right,
so
right.
the
Yeah.
character design was so off. I'm like,
And that's
okay,
the thing
with
is,
one of them.
like, I guess because I've just been so conditioned on the MCU versions of these characters, I just have no innate love for these characters in this form.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. When they're going so close to the MCU
Yeah.
version, I think that's when you get the little like stage theater almost version of this sort of
Sure.
thing.
Right.
Because we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and I see these characters, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
But they're also more in costume. Here, they're a lot more out of costume.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We use the word iconic way too much in modern culture, but the performances of everybody in the MCU are truly iconic. They're the most recognized versions of those characters now.
Yeah.
And seeing anything but is really strange because almost everybody's seen a Marvel movie. A much smaller portion of the population has actually picked up a comic book in the last few years and
Unfortunately, yeah.
followed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because obviously these wonderful characters wouldn't exist without those creators making these comics. But it's just a fact of life these days that everyone knows these characters more from movies than from the source material.
On the flip
Yeah.
side, though, I do appreciate they're doing their own thing.
Yes.
If they
Yeah.
just copied their likenesses, I think then we'll be complaining that they...
Yeah, it'd be
That's
like,
true,
it's still
too.
a dub, I
Even-
suppose, if they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I like they're doing their own thing, but Spider-Man, in something else, Spider-Man did its own thing, and it was far
And
more
it
distinct.
was so
yeah,
good.
it was really messing with the canon,
Right.
like the established stuff, and that
Right.
was fun.
And I'm not feeling that here
and
yet.
yeah, and
No.
that-
Right.
It feels like it's playing it a bit safe scenario wise.
and
So far.
yeah, something happens. It seems to indicate that Captain America died during that initial attack.
Yeah.
Like
There-
him
there's
going
no
down with
way-
the ship.
Yeah.
Well, he went down with the ship, and didn't they show him as playable? I mean, they might be playable in the opening, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't think it was a good debut. I think there is potential here. I like it.
yeah, I'm not going to write it off completely.
Yeah,
But this conference started way stronger than it ended.
100%.
It just seemed like it just kept dipping and dipping, like good stuff. But I feel like ever since once they started showing the Square Indie stuff, that's when it was like, you're losing me. And
Yeah.
it never quite recovered. Like
And,
the Final
yeah.
Fantasy VIII stuff was good. I know a lot of people who are into Final Fantasy 14, and I saw them on Twitter going
freaking out.
nuts for the
Yeah.
Shadowbringers
and
stuff.
I'm happy for them. Like I don't care.
But
about
I don't know
MMOs
anything about
personally.
that, yeah.
Like I don't play MMOs. FF14 is not my thing, but I respect that people are really excited about what they showed. So that was really cool. And what's funny about the indies we saw is we all love indie games, but there's something about the way Square Enix shows them, or I don't know what it is, but I never get hyped for Square indies. I always get hyped for other indies.
That
but-
car game, okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it
and then they
is.
spent how long in that game was just showing World War II, like...
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the game. I just kept focusing on the +5, +5,
Right.
+5, +10.
Right.
Right, that indie trailer, and I'm someone who absolutely advocates for and loves indies
Same.
with a passion. When I see the Square Enix Collective trailer, I just don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They linger on games that should be just kind of passed through quickly.
Right.
And it leads me to believe they just don't really know which ones to pick.
That's kinda what it
so I
feels
kind of
like
don't
to
have
me.
confidence in the,
Yeah.
in the Square Enix Collective as a brand.
Right.
And a weird focus on Final Fantasy Brave Exvius.
Yeah, so I guess
Right.
we're getting a new game in the Brave Exvius universe, which I haven't played. I don't play a lot of mobile
Yeah.
games, but I hear good things. Other than the gacha, system. Apparently, it's a pretty brutal interpretation of that system. But enough people like it.
Sure.
Cool.
Why not?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's actually one other game from Tokyo RPG Factory.
Right.
Oninaki,
Oninaki.
yeah.
Oninaki.
Which.
I don't trust that studio
Yeah.
too much. I was excited for both I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere.
Same
I was
here.
let down by both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it has potential, but I said that about the other games too. So,
I mean, it was kind of like what you said when we were watching it. It's very indicative of their name, Tokyo RPG Factory.
Yeah.
They feel like they just churn out these games on an assembly line, and
Yeah.
it's just there's nothing really special about them. And I felt the same way about Oninaki. I will say that the gameplay looked maybe a little more fun than what we've grown accustomed to in Setsuna and Lost Sphere, but nothing that's like making me go, I gotta play that game. You know?
Yeah, there's nothing groundbreaking about this game. It's just another game churned out by a factory.
Yeah.
It's a by the numbers RPG.
Right.
But all in all, I think this is a pretty good conference. It's much better than Bethesda's, much better than
Ubisoft.
It's a low bar, but yeah.
Did not see Ubisoft, but I heard a lot about Ubisoft, and nobody seemed to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, amazingly enough, this is on the higher end of this year's conferences.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, Final Fantasy VII alone.
that was just going to
worth
do it
it.
no matter what.
Both Dragon Quest games look great.
Yeah.
Avengers had potential. So I'm. What would you guys rate this? I'd say I'm probably on probably a C.
I'd give this a B.
Okay.
That's how much Final Fantasy, though. That's
Yeah.
a
That
big
carries
chunk
things.
of that. Like a big chunk of that is
Yeah.
Final Fantasy because I was intrigued. I was interested. I was probably going to pick it up, but I was like, okay, sure.
It's a strong B carrying a bunch of Ds.
That I'm gonna say like a B or B minus, like, and that B is really almost solely on the strength of FF7. I mean, again, Dragon Quest is great. There's some cool stuff, but it's pretty much all on the strength of Final Fantasy.
But both Dragon Quest games were known quantities.
Exactly.
It's just seeing them again.
But I mean that also underscores just how fantastic the FF7 showing was, because it really carried the whole thing on its own, in my opinion.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree kind of across the board. I think without Final Fantasy VII, this would have been a pretty bad conference. It would have been a D. But introducing such an amazing Final Fantasy VII trailer and then seeing gameplay and seeing Tifa and seeing everything that we saw, it puts it at a B or a B minus level for me. A slightly above average conference.
Yeah.
I'll say with the Avengers, if you can duplicate the characters, I would not like that. I do not want to see 2 Captain Americas and 2 Iron Man.
No, I don't want that.
That would ruin the
Yeah.
concept.
And like I said before, I think we all agree that we're not dunking on the Avengers too much. Like,
No,
there
no.
is potential. It's still a year out.
Right.
Just not a great debut.
Because I still remember the lead up to the Spider-Man. People were kind of like, it looks like a, the button prompt thing.
QTEs.
Yeah.
QTEs, like QTE Fest. I don't like that. It's too much.
Yeah, I know.
And then you play the game and it's
And
like,
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Seems
dynamics are a good
incredible.
studio. They do great stuff.
Right, exactly.
I can't think of a, outright terrible Crystal Dynamics.
Exactly. Derek, I will say before we wrap up that I'm really upset at you, because in our predictions, you just had to go and say,
Hey.
Chrono Trigger on Switch. And
We got a Switch conference. We got a Nintendo.
I know,
It's not
but
done yet. There's still potential.
I haven't been able to stop thinking about that since you said it, and I'm so mad at you.
You're welcome.
I love, by the way, how both of our videos on conferences have ended with us saying, just wait for the Direct. Something we didn't see at this one is going to
true.
be at the Direct.
Yeah,
for sure.
after
How
the
deflated are we setting ourselves up to be
Oh,
tomorrow?
we're going to be so deflated.
after
I
the
know.
direct, like, well, there's always a next direct.
There's always next E3.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what,
They
I'll
might
s-
still reveal it later in the year.
Right.
Please.
I'll say this, though. Speaking of the Direct, Nintendo's really going to have to bring it tomorrow to have anything that's going to impress me more than FF7.
Oh yeah.
Like, just so far,
Yeah.
I'm going into the show.
That's not
FF7.
happening.
I don't
Yeah,
think so either.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
FF7
don't-
was just like there's always that, like as I said, ground level excitement, but just seeing it come together
Yeah.
in this way is like, oh,
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting.
Let's end this with a bet.
Okay.
Will the Secret of Mana collection debut in the direct tomorrow?
Yes.
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 Nice. I love it.
Okay,
All right.
we're gonna say
do
that.
Yes.
We'll
Please-
Chrono,
Please
we'll
don't
Chrono-
actually hold us to it. Please.
Yeah, please.
We're
Will
already
Chrono
sorry.
Trigger? I don't know, but I'm not gonna go that far.
No, Chrono Trigger, I'm going to say
say
it's a
no.
hard no.
No, it's a hard
How
no.
dare
Yeah,
you
hard
even
no.
bring it up? Hard no. But
I wanted to
Playing
break
with
your
our
heart.
hearts.
thank you. I think we're all going all in on Mana Collection, though, in the Direct.
Please, we
I
got a
hope.
trademark. Give it to us.
Yeah. And if they hadn't had that trademark like the week before E3, I wouldn't have even thought about it.
Right.
But they just had
'Cause
to
I'd
have
written
that.
it off by this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. So just the hope's alive. But if it's not tomorrow, it's never happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
doesn't happen tomorrow, you can write it off forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with Mother 3.
Oh,
I think
man.
that's been written off.
What?
You just had
too
to open
soon?
up that one.
Too
Yeah.
soon?
Yeah.
Too soon.
I believe Jeff Keighley.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool. Well, I think that'll about do it for the Square Enix press conference reaction discussion. So thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, be sure to stay tuned to Game Explained for much more on E3. It actually begins tomorrow. We got the Nintendo Direct
Yeah.
coming up. It's a very busy day for all of us. We're going to be exhausted, but I hope you guys look forward to all that content. Prepare your subscription feeds. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.